afternoon. Members will return to the floor. Members return to the floor and take your seats. Mr. Clerk, how about ring the bell? Members will return to the floor. Take your seats. Take your seats, please. Members will return to the floor. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 300? House Bill 300.
House Bill 300 by Representative Kelly the 16th and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 4 of Article 1 of Chapter 3, Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to solar power free market financing so as to provide for the establishment of the Solar Technology Trust Fund. This bill having referred to the Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Members, we are about to discuss a very, very important issue for our state's future. You'll give the gentleman in the well your attention. Representative Trey Kelly is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I come before you today with House Bill 300, which looks to do two things. First, it looks to provide some certainty and protection for landowners who enter into solar power facility agreements with those who lease the property from them to build out the solar power facilities. Second, it looks to maintain the balance that we've seen in our state and the success we've seen as a state integrating solar into our power mix without placing undue burdens on those who want to continue building out those facilities, but while also protecting our property owners who are leasing that land to them. I want to thank Chairman Don Parsons for giving us the ability to work on this bill over the session, over the summer. We started last session and worked over the summer on the measure to perfect it, and I want to thank him for allowing us to put together a working group on that and those who served on the working group. Mr. Speaker, I know we just came back from lunch, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
You have a couple.
I'll yield.
I'm going to take the most important one first. He's not the first one to hit his button, but Chairman Robert Dickey, that chairs the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee. Chairman Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I'll yield, of course. Yes, sir.
I just want to thank you for your lot of work on this bill through the time, and I just want to ask you some terminology you did not include in this bill. And nowhere in this bill did you refer to the solar power facilities as farms, and I appreciate that, and I thank you for that. And these facilities do not grow anything for us to eat, so thank you for that.
They provide a valuable resource to us in terms of power supply, but they don't grow those delicious peaches that I like to get down in Musella.
I don't had that good on peaches. I'm not sure, but I like peaches too. You have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll yield the well and ask for this body's favorable consideration.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there an objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? The chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there an objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. For what purpose does Representative Williams rise?
Parliamentary inquiry. Well, really a request. I'd like to be excused under the Chocus rule on this vote.
You have to. I was wondering what this had to do with cherry wine, but I now get it. The gentleman so states he will be excused from the vote. What? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of HB 300. The yeas are 146, the nays are 0. The bill having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 1022, 1022?
House Bill 1022 by Representative Saints of the 180th and others to be entitled Act to amend Article 5 of Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to cruelty to children so as to enact the Colton-McNeil Act. This bill having referred to the Committee on Juvenile Justice, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Sains is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, this bill titled Colton-McNeil Act for Colton King, a member of my district, a beautiful 5-year-old soul who at the age of 2 had a cruelty to children statute placed against a perpetrator that was in his home. His mom's advocated for increased sentencing based on what happened in their family situation. This simply modifies the cruelty to children statute for the first and second degree and increasing the penalties, having the first degree go from 5 to 20 years to 15 to 30 years, and the second degree going from 1 to 10 years to 10 to 30 years, with only in the instances that the child is defined as a disabled minor, which is the first part of the bill in line 16 and below. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well if there's no questions.
You do have a question.
I'll yield for one.
Representative Tanya Miller to your left in the back. Representative Miller, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Chairman Saints, just to clarify, the sentencing provisions as set forth in the bill, they do not require mandatory minimum sentencing, but keep in line the same discretion that courts have to decide a sentence based on the facts of the case. Is that correct?
The gentlelady is correct. It doesn't modify any of the ability to stay probate or suspend. It simply parallels the language within the first and second degree and increases it. It increases the range there.
Does the gentleman yield for one more question?
I do.
Is it not also true, Chairman Saints, that these cases are some of the most difficult cases to prosecute and are often some of the worst cases of child abuse that we see in our state, thus justifying an increase in penalties?
I think this House has an opportunity to take a stand in ensuring that those who perpetrate crimes to the most vulnerable amongst us are penalized to the degree that they should. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there an objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? For what purpose does Representative Reese rise? He waits. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 1022. The yeas are 158, the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 984?
House Bill 984 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th and others to be entitled an act to amend titles 25 and 33 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to fire protection and safety and insurance respectively so as to update the practices of the Department of Insurance and the Office of the Safety Fire Commissioner. This bill having referred to the Committee on Insurance, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Lumsden is recognized to present the bill. I apologize, I didn't see you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I bring to you House Bill 984. This is a Department of Insurance bill. The bill does three things. First, it sets the framework for off-duty use of department vehicles by post-certified officers of the Department of Insurance. The second thing it does is it deletes a subsection of state law to bring us into compliance with National Association of Insurance Commissioners model law dealing with small cap life insurance companies. And the third thing it does is to require that insurers waive the age requirement for dependents with a developmentally disability or physical disability and allow them to remain on their parents' insurance or be added to their parents' insurance policy. That's what the bill does. I appreciate your favorable consideration. I'll answer any questions.
Gentlemen, did you yield? You have a question?
Yes.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark to your left. Representative Clark is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
I just have a clarifying question. On the section about individuals with developmental disabilities or physical disabilities, does that mean that they can be under dependent coverage for indefinitely, like there is no age limit whatsoever?
There is nothing in the bill that addresses the age limit. It says if they fall into that category, they can be on their parents, either continue to be on their parents' policy or be added to their parents' policy.
Thank you.
You have no further questions.
With that, I'll yield the well. And
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 984. The yeas are 158, the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 997?
House Bill 997 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 40.5, 151 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to disqualification from driving and action required after suspending, revoking, or canceling license or non-resident privileges. This bill having referred to the Committee on Motor Vehicles, That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Corbett is recognized to present this bill. Chairman Corbett, House Bill 997.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I bring before you House Bill 997, LC 394096. This is a Department of Driver Services bill brought on their request. What we're doing with this bill is the Federal Motor Care Safety Administration, FMCSA, Commercial Driver's Licensing Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, is a secure online database that centralizes records of the FMCSA drug and alcohol program violators. What we're doing with HB 997, we're streamlining the notification to the state, the Department of Driver Services, when a customer is prohibited from a CDL, and adds a layer of safety, making it more difficult for drivers to conceal their drug and alcohol program violations from the current or prospective employers and evade the CMV driving prohibition. Currently, CDL holders can employ shop once they are notified of their violation because the current process is not streamlined. This bill provides all parties real-time information. And it also streamlines the reinstatement of the driver's CDLs on the back end. Once they've completed the requirement or evaluation or treatment that the FMCSA requires, then it streamlines the reinstatement portion, their license back to them as well. So that's what the bill does, Mr. Speaker. I would ask for everybody's favorable consideration.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 997, the yeas are 162, the nay is 1. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 1044?
House Bill 1044 by Representative Anderson of the 10th and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapters 10 and Title 13 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to contracts for public works so as to increase the dollar value of certain public work contracts exempt from the provisions relating to retention of contractual payments. This bill having referred to the Committee on Governmental Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Victor Anderson is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I bring before you House Bill 1044. If that caption of the bill sounded familiar, it should. We passed this bill last year in this chamber in pretty much the same form it is now, but we've added some things to it. It passed out of here with 164 votes, passed out of the Senate, and the governor's office decided they wanted to add to the bill. So last year's bill, which was House Bill 193, addressed the public works project purchasing limits for county and municipal governments. That's Title 36. The governor's office wanted this to extend to other statewide departments, so we've included Title 13, Title 20, and also a portion of Title 50. In preparing for this revision and reintroduction of this bill, we checked with every department in the state that could potentially be impacted, gave them an opportunity to either opt in or opt out, and House Bill 1044 is what we have that I present for you today. And Mr. Speaker, I'll yield for any questions if there are.
Representative, you have no question. I have one.
Yes, sir.
My recollection serves me adequately. I think it was cloudy the day we passed this one last year and rainy, was it not?
It absolutely was. Many of us refer to that day as Cinco de Vito.
sometimes I should just keep my mouth shut. There's no doubt about that. You
Thank
have
you,
no further
colleagues.
questions.
Ask for your favorable consideration, and I yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 1044, the yeas are 154, the nays 8. The bill having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. Members, because we have some important issues we need to take up in committee today, we will postpone House Bill 1037 and House Bill 925 to the next legislative day. All right, we have a couple of afternoon orders. I want you to give your attention to the member in the well, especially on this first one. Representative Gladney and the Augusta delegation. Representative Gladney and the Augusta delegation. If you'll stand with us, please, members. Representative Gladney and the Augusta delegation.
Thank you all. Today we'd like to honor the Honorable Ed Tarver, who represented the Augusta area in the Georgia State Senate and served as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Georgia. He responded to his final calling on this past Friday at the age of 64. The distinguished gentleman, Tarver, was born in 1959 and graduated from Augusta College before enlisting in the United States Army. He earned a law degree from the University of Georgia in 1991. From 2005 to 2009, Tarver represented Georgia's 22nd District in the Georgia State Senate, and later in 2009, he was sworn in as the first Black United States Attorney from the Southern District of Georgia. He was a member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and the Alpha Mu Boule of the Sigma Phi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. He is survived by his wife, Dr. Carol Dale Tarver, and his children. Please bow your heads in a moment of silence in honor of his service. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well, sir.
A very fine gentleman who served this state with distinction. He will be missed. Prayers for his family. Representative Mike Cameron, you're recognized for an afternoon order. Members, please give the gentleman your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to remember one of our great teachers in Walker County, Georgia, who passed away last week. Mary Beth Smith was originally from Ohio. She came to Chattanooga to attend Tennessee Temple University to get her teaching degree. She met her husband, Michael. They've spent a lifetime together. A few weeks ago, she didn't feel well one day, so Michael took her to the hospital, and she was diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer, and she only lasted about 3.5 weeks. But during that time, she showed courage and joy that very few people show in that kind of situation, and she passed away last week, and she'll be remembered not only in the community. She was treasurer of the Walker County GOP, but she invested herself in so many young people and helped so many young people over the years that that memory will never go away. We mourn, and the teachers and staff at Ridgeland High School will miss her especially. I'd like a moment of silence, please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Prayers for the family. Chairman Dickey, recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. Appreciate you recognizing Georgia today at their birthday, 291st birthday. And I just thought members of this chamber would like to know a little bit more history. I'm a lover of history, and so Oglethorpe got the idea for the colony after he learned that a friend had died in debtor's prison. He and several other men approached King George II with this idea. The colony was to be named for the king, and a group, the trustees, would govern the colony for the first 21 years. There were 4 reasons for establishing the colony of Georgia: relief of poor subjects, a home for debtors, a defensive barrier for South Carolina against the Spanish who were in Florida, trade, the production of wine and silk, and a home for persecuted European Protestants, like many of the other colonies. The boundaries were from the Savannah River on the north to the Altamaha River on the south, and from the Atlantic Ocean on the east, and believe this, all the way to the Pacific Ocean on the west. Georgia was only successful in 2 of these, as a barrier against the Spanish and a home for persecuted Protestants. No debtors ever came to Georgia, and they were not able to produce wine and silk in any quantities. 2 groups, interesting enough, were not allowed in the beginning. They were Catholics and slaves. 2 occupations also were not allowed to come in the beginning. They were liquor dealers and lawyers. The trustees considered lawyers the scourge of mankind. That's your history lesson for Georgia today.
They had a lot in common, still do probably. We'll worry about that later. Representative Reese, recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As many of you know, there was a big game on TV last night. Some of you may have watched it, some of you may have not. But I tell you, there was one man in my district who was excited to watch it, and that's 87-year-old retired Command Sergeant Major William McKinley Mayo. He was excited to watch it because his grandson, Wilbert Williams, was the trombone player for Usher last night. It was a very proud moment for him and a very proud moment for me because Mr. Williams attended Carver High School, which is in House District 140. Mr. Williams has also toured with Tyler Perry and performed now at the Super Bowl. We think that's quite an accomplishment. But in fact, Mr. Speaker, last night was a display of the great talent that we have here in Georgia. It's a testament to our music industry and the entertainment industry that we have in general. To see Usher, Little John, and Ludacris all on the stage together just truly warmed my heart. And it's a fact that we are a superior and dominant display of the wealth of talent in the state of Georgia. The Chiefs may have won the game, but Georgia won today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Mr. Chairman, we're glad you could make it from the ball game back here to be with us today. You just forgot your cap. That's the only thing. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, look at him. Representative Gamble is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honored today to have Mr. Stephen Schumacher here, the president of Only in Cartersville, Bartow County, which is also our Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I thought it would also be a good opportunity to remind the Chamber that in Georgia in 2022, 168 million visitors came to our state to tour and to vacation. And of that, we had $39.8 billion in direct spending and $73 billion in spending total that industry brought to our state. It represents approximately 442,000 jobs in our state. Recently, Stephen and his staff there at
only in Bartow, hosted the Georgia Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus conference that Jay Markwalter led. Many of y'all know Jay up until his move over to the Department of Economic Development, where he now is the statewide tourism director. But Stephen and his staff put that together to bring people to our community. But that conference moves around the state and has been in many of our communities as it moves annually. And so the final thing I'll mention is Mark Joronsky and the team at the Department of Economic Development that oversee tourism do a fantastic job. We have a lot to be proud of, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to welcome Stephen and to mention and highlight how important tourism is to our state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, and welcome, Stephen. Floor Leader McDonald. Governor's floor leader is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, colleagues. I rise today to thank our men and women in uniform. In recent weeks, we've been reminded here in Georgia about the risks these men and women take every day to keep us safe. We as Georgians will not forget these men. Crawford County Deputy Timothy Rivers was killed in the line of duty on February the 6th. State Trooper Jimmy Siskar was killed in the line of duty on January 28th. Coweta County Deputy Anthony Mannix was killed in the line of duty on January the 4th. And that's just this year. We heard the weekend of a shooting at Lakewood Church in Houston that could have been much worse, but for our off-duty law enforcement that were at the church and were able to respond quickly and decisively. The thin blue line is real. These men and women keep us safe every day, seeking to maintain law and order in this capital, in the city of Atlanta, and across this great state of Georgia. And as we saw in Texas, these aren't 9-to-5 jobs. These men and women give us their all every day. And I believe this entire house owes them a debt of thanks. Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
Thank you, sir. Representative Nulowitz is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to make sure everyone here knew something that we're very proud of in Cobb County, and that is that our Cobb County Sheriff's Office has received the accreditation. They've attained accreditation from the top 3 law enforcement accrediting agencies in the country, which means that the Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Craig Owen have been awarded the Triple Crown Award from the National Sheriff's Association. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that we were very proud of him getting that honor and proud of the work that our Sheriff's Office is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. That's great to be recognized, and ensure we all know about it. Representative McCullum is recognized for an afternoon order. Did a fine job earlier today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as 20-year firefighter and a Marine veteran and the father of a police officer, I rise today to thank those of my colleagues that have joined me in standing up in our law enforcement community here in Georgia. In our 2024 budget, we provided $4,000 raises to law enforcement officers. We've recently passed SB 63 to keep folks in jail when they put our law enforcement officers at risk. We passed 881 to push back against prosecutors that don't take their jobs and their partnership with law enforcement seriously. We passed HB 500, a common sense piece of legislation to strengthen the penalty of burning police cars. We've passed HB 505 to increase the penalty for rioting that often puts our law enforcement at risk. We passed SB 44 to go after gangs and those who recruit our young people, a scourge facing law enforcement in every corner of our state. The men and women of law enforcement put their lives in harm's way to keep us safe. As long as I have the privilege of serving, I will continue to stand up for my brothers and sisters in public safety, ensure that whatever happens, wherever in our state, that they always have our support under the Gold Dome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'll yield the well.
That completes our announcements. For what purposes does Chairman Lumsden rise?
To make a motion,
State your motion.
I move that House Bill 1204 be moved from the Insurance Committee to the Public Health Committee. Both chairs are in agreement.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 1204 by Representative Lumpson of the 12th to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to insurance generally so as to require coverage for medically necessary expenses for standard fertility preservation services.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 1204 be withdrawn from the Insurance Committee and recommitted to the Public Health Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Lieutenant Colonel Eugene Henry, Jr. Honoring the life and memory of Evangelist Lillian Richardson Wardley. Honoring the life and memory of Bobby Blue Smith. Honoring the life and memory of Arthur M. Ginlat, Jr. Honoring the life and memory of Irma Jean Gore Killings. Honoring the life and memory of Cameron Jackson. Honoring Morehouse College and recognizing February 14, 2024 as Morehouse Day at the State Capitol. Honoring the students of Morehouse College, recognizing and commending Community Supervision Officer Christopher Burke, the Department of Community Supervision 2023 Officer of the Year. Honoring and recognizing Edwin Moses, recognizing February 22nd, 2024 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing and commending Alex Benson and his company, Born to Compete. Congratulating Cedartown High School Game Day cheerleaders for winning the GHSA 3A, 4A Division State Game Day Cheerleaders 2023 Championship. Recognizing February 27, 2024 as Sex Trafficking Awareness Day at the State Capitol. Commending Oliver L. Dean, Region 4 2024 Principal of the Year. Commending the Mercer University School of Law upon its 100th anniversary. Recognizing and commending America's Sumter County. Recognizing February 28, 2024 as the Georgia Association of Broadcasters Day at the State Capitol. Commending the Georgia residents who have type 1 diabetes and whose families continue to educate and advocate. Recognizing January 31st, 2024 as Licensed Professional Counselors Appreciation Day at the State Capitol. Commending Jennifer Tolliver Hudson, Tony Elementary Schools 2023-2024 Teacher of the Year, recognizing, commending the Cobb County Sheriff's Office, and commending Barrow County 2024 Star Students and Star Teachers. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. We have a few announcements. We'll get started. Representative Gamble, did you have an announcement this afternoon? I think you do. The gentleman is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Speaker. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, the fellowship will meet in the Judiciary Committee room.
Chairman Choke is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. in room 506 CLOB, the Small Business Development Committee will have their weekly meeting. The presenters tomorrow, the National Association of Professional Employers Organization and NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business. Hope y'all can make it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Hawkins is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Health Committee will meet upon adjournment in room Capitol 403. That's Cap 403.
Chair Lady Cooper is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, today there will be no public health meeting. It was scheduled for 3. We were following the Health Committee, but giving them plenty of time. We will meet on Thursday instead in room 403 here in the Capitol at 2 o'clock. On Thursday, 403 here in the Capitol, the Public Health Committee will meet. Thank you very much.
Chairman Mitchell, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Democratic Caucus will meet tomorrow morning for breakfast, 9 a.m. in 216 in the Capitol. Thanks again, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Hilton is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Education Subcommittee on Policy will be meeting upon adjournment in CLOB 506. The House Education Committee on Curriculum will meet about 45 minutes after that. Thanks.
That concludes everything I think we need to do except one more. Concludes our work for the day. That Majority Leader is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, February 13th, 2024.
On the motion of the Majority Leader that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, February the 13th, my lucky day, 2024. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed will say no. There's no doubt about that. The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.